Hello and welcome back to another video on diode laser cleaning. This is a Longer Ray 20 watt. As you can see, it's brand new out of the packet. So why am I cleaning it? I'm only going through the motions of cleaning it to show you how to strip it down. Some people I know are nervous about taking things apart. So before I actually mount this laser onto my frame, I thought I'd show you how to maintain it, as it is important. And there's a couple of things you need to watch out. If you don't have a Longer Ray 20 in this case, you can still follow along because the principles are the same. You know, you've got to clean your laser, and that's the steps we're going to take. So the first thing we're going to do is you can clean the outside. Just take a slightly damp cloth and you can rub around the outside. Now normally this fan will be full of dust, and that's the thing we're going to concentrate on today. And then also we've got the underneath, and you've got guideways in here so the air flows through these slots, so we need to get those nice and clean. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to unwind the air assist tube. So that goes counterclockwise, and there is a little rubber, you can just see it here. There is a little rubber there, so you need to pull that through the hole. It is a little bit of a tight fit. All I do, I put my finger on the end of the thread and then push it through, and it seems to come through easy. So put that to one side. Now you've got 4 Allen bolts, one in each corner. So you've got 4 of these to undo. I use my own hex driver because I just find it far easier to do. Now once you start getting the screws undone, just tilt it to one side so it doesn't drop down into the laser. They're not very long, but as always, as you take things out, put them in something so they don't roll off the table. And if you've got carpet, be very careful that you don't drop it on the carpet and lose it. A top tip, if you do have if you do drop something on carpet, you can use your vacuum cleaner and put something like an old pair of your wife tights over the end of the vacuum cleaner, so the things you're sucking up won't go in the dust bag, and then you can find it nice and easy. So that was nice and easy. So no doubt this will become dirty. So again, just a damp cloth will get most of that off. If you've got anything stubborn, just a cloth with a bit of isopropyl alcohol will clean that off. So now we've got the laser off, we want to remove the nozzle. So if you look round on the one side, you'll see this little tiny grub screw. So I think that's going to be the gold on my, yeah. So this is now revealed the smoke guard. So this thing will actually come off. Be careful when you're taking this off, because now you're revealing the lens. So what I recommend is, once it's off, tilt that down so no dust, airborne dust, will get in there. Now you shouldn't get any dirt inside the lens, so there's no real point in taking it off. You can leave it installed, and in there you can just, it doesn't look like that, but you can see the light reflecting on the glass, and that is a glass with some anti-reflective coating on it for the laser to pass through. So I'm just going to screw that back on. I'll show you down the lens. The lens is about 3mm down. You can see the light just reflecting on that. So this is the job of the smoke guard, and you can buy new ones of these. Now the importance is that the job of the air assist is 2 things. The job of this nozzle does 2 things. It helps you obtain better cuts. It does help with engraving, but you need to reduce the pressure. And it stops, well, it tries to prevent, and it does a very good job. It tries to stop the smoke going up this little hole, condensing on the lens, and then the laser light comes through the lens, starts to heat that debris up, and it starts baking itself onto the glass. If you, in the worst case, if you leave it on there and you do no maintenance, eventually that glass protection lens will crack. So if you're in a production environment, highly recommend that you order spares of these, so you've got one in your spares container, ready for should you get the worst and it cracks, or you've got dirt on there which is baked on and you can't use isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip to get it off, then you've got a spare one to put on your laser. So that's that. So when it comes to cleaning, you need some isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. Now what I recommend is you just, if you can get past the childproof lid tops, just put a little drop on the Q-tip. You don't want to flood anything. Then it's not going to come out on camera, but you want to invert the lens. You don't want to have the lens up there and you do that, because if you got too much IPA on there, it could get past the smoke lens. Now the chance of that is very, very remote. However, I recommend tilting it up. So this is now out of camera shot, but I'm looking at the lens and I'm putting that up there and very gently rubbing the Q-tip. Now I'm going to do this inverted so you can see it. So very, very gently, hardly any pressure at all. Now I'm looking to make sure there's nothing left on the lens. The IPA should evaporate, which it looks like it has. But then what I just do, I use the dry end of the Q-tip, just very, very gently, again no pressure, rub round. Now if you've got debris on your lens, you may have to do the process 2 or 3 times. But once you've used the Q-tip, I never reuse it. I always then get another one, bit more IPA, rub it around until the mark goes. Now obviously mine is clean because it hasn't been used, but that's the process of cleaning the lens with a Q-tip and IPA. So now we can look down. Now you can't quite see yet. So what that has revealed is the airways. So the fan is blowing air down these and air down this bigger socket. When we take the fan off in a minute, you'll see down there. So I'm going to now take the fan off. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to temporarily stand that on there, because then it's not affecting the nozzle. So with a Phillips or Posi screwdriver, I'm just going to take these bolts out. And the reason we want to do this is because you're going to get a lot of brown staining on the fan blades, and any deposited brown residue anywhere is going to affect the cooling of the module. So that's now revealed the fan. So the fan lifts out nice and easy, and it has a relatively long cord. You can, if you wish, get your fingernails in there and take that connector off. But what I would recommend is you can get yourself a rubber band. So what I recommend is getting a rubber band, put the fan so it's fully supported on the guideways here, and then you can continue lasering. That's if you don't want to take off the fan connector. It is a little bit fiddly. There's no need to take it off, so you can leave it attached. So now what this reveals, what that reveals is now you can see the guideways, and the guideways, blinding you, are slightly ribbed. And what that does, it helps to increase the surface area of those fins, which helps with cooling. So what I recommend you getting is a bottle brush. This one is slightly too big, so I've got some on order, 6mm ones. This is 10mm and they're too big. So I could press it down really hard, but that's going to take a lot of effort to clean the laser. So get yourself a 6mm one. I will update the video description when they come in, but I'm still waiting for them to come in. So you can use compressed air, to blow dirt and debris down here. I recommend you doing that outside. And as you can see, the driver board is this side, so you need to be careful of that. Don't go pushing anything down there because you could dislodge some components on that. So that's that. And this part here, the silver part, is the laser module. So wind from the fan will get blown onto here as well as down this gap there. So part of the cleaning now, you can turn it over, you can take off this bit now, take off your rubber band, and now you can use a Q-tip and clean all the fans front and back. So the model of the, oh, you can see it there nice and clear. So it's a DD2. I've put my glasses on now, that's very small. So you can see there the model number is DD24, looks like 6020DH1. I will zoom in on that so you can get a better picture. 24 volt, 0.18 amps, just a standard, well, I'd imagine it's a high speed fan, so it's a standard 60 by 20 fan, but these should run for a long time. So you need to get those clean. Going to slip that back underneath on there. So if you're going to use compressed air on here, you need to hold the fan and then so when you're balancing the module on the base only fits two ways. So if you have it 90 degree out, it doesn't actually drop down very easily. So if you're cleaning the fan with compressed air, you just need to hold the fan so the fan doesn't spin round. Anything like a fan or a stepper motor, if you rotate it when it's connected to something, these will generate energy, electric, and you don't want the electric being fed back into the board because you'll likely damage it. So what else have we got? That's that. Compressed air, you can use compressed air down there. Now we need to fit it all back together. So when you're putting the fan back, make sure the cable lays in the slot nicely. So the cable is topmost here. I'm just going to lay that in there. So what you've got to think about when you're putting the plate on is, with the module sitting on the base, you'll see the hole is on the, as I'm looking at it, this is the back on the right hand side. So when you put the grate back on, you need to make sure the hole is lined up with the hole where the air assist tube is going to go back in. So that's going to go back in down there. So now we can go back and drop these in, starting by hand. And I do have a plan for this fan, but I'm waiting for something to arrive. Once that comes, I'll show you what I'm considering doing to try and make the fan quieter, because it is a beast. Although I haven't started it, I've seen the videos on Longer website, and you know, it's got a lot of cooling to do, so you need a quickly spinning fan. So that's that. You can double check your smoke guard is nice and clean. So now we're going to stand that there. The ring is that side, so the hole needs to go that side. Wrong way. And now the little screws. So depending how well they fit, again, I'm going to hold now the top, tilt it to one side so it's easiest for me to see. Just get that started. So these screws do not have to be done up very tight at all. They're only holding the base on. Okay, it is a steel screw going into an aluminium thread. So once you feel a slight bit of pressure, you can stop, because any tighter and you'll eventually end up stripping some threads, and then you will be having a bad day. Right, another mistake I have done. Oh, not having a good video today, am I? But these are the things that you might do. Because, let me look. If that goes on there and the hole has to go out there, you're not going to do that grub screw up very easily. Now, you could possibly use the right angled Allen key, which I haven't got on my desk. This one's going to be too big, I think. Let me see whether this one fits. Yes, that one fits. So let's see whether I can overcome my problem. So what you need to do, I think, let's try this. We're going to try putting this back in first. Okay, I'm going to leave that hanging. So now I'm going to try and see whether I can do this up without taking it off. You're not going to get much of a turn on it, but again, this does not have to be tight. Certainly more fiddly than putting it back on when the guard is off, but it can be done. Again, just very light pressure when you're doing that grub scrub. So now we've got this in. So again, this is light pressure. You can see at the moment I've got a gap between the rubber washer, the nozzle. So one more turn is going to do that. No, 2 more turns. So once it's gone stiff, do not go another turn, because what will happen, you will break something. This is, I believe this is an aluminium tube with a steel threading in it. If you go one more turn, you'll very likely strip that thread out of the tube, and then you will have a bad day. So if anyone's interested, that hole is 2.29. I'm going to do some research into this, and the nozzle is probably 3 mil below here. So that's that. So that's the laser all assembled. It all looks good. The fan is now nice and clean. Well, it was to begin with, wasn't it? And so I forgot to mention one top tip. I can take my rubber band off now because I've done my maintenance. When you're putting the tube in and out of the elbow, please support the bottom of the elbow with one hand and then push the tube in with the other hand. And when you're removing the tube, support the bottom of the tube. So I'm holding this, so I don't want to put any force down on this. So I'm holding the tube. You would then have to press the blue part, the blue ring down. And what that is doing, inside there, you've got some like alligator's teeth. And when you press that in, I don't think you'll be able to see that. When you press it in, the teeth disappear. So I'm not sure whether you'll see that. But what you're preventing doing then is you're preventing pushing force down on there, which is levering on that joint connection. So just be careful. Support the elbow when you're putting in the tube and also when you're taking the tube out. So hope you found that helpful. Your laser now is as good as new. So just take your time doing it. Don't use any harsh chemicals on the fan blades. isopropyl alcohol with a Q-tip, and you can do that. Don't really be tempted in trying to clean through here. You're really wasting your time. It's no effort taking this off, and then you can see how easy it was to take the fan off. Anyway, that's Andy. Looking forward to mounting this, but for me, I'm going to mount, I need to create a bracket because I want to be able to put this on and off on my 10 watt. So those of you who have upgraded your 5 or 10 watt to the 20 watt, you know you have to change the back plate. Well, I want to try and keep the back plate so I can easily swap for doing videos between my 5, 10 and 20 watt laser head. Anyway, that's still under development. But that's that video done. Your laser is now nice and clean. You can get some hopefully better engraves now. Your cutting ability will be back as it was when it was new. So that is, as ever, Andy wishing you a very good afternoon. Continue to make some happy smoke, and hopefully you'll join me in the next video. Cheers for now. Thank you for making it to the end of my videos, much appreciated. If you like what I'm doing and I've earned your trust and respect, perhaps you would consider subscribing. If you leave a comment, I will answer them as well. And if you give me a thumbs up, it will put a smile on my face. Perhaps you would like some of the videos popping up now. See you in the next one.